Alright guys, welcome back to Jay Solo Arts. I'm Jay, and in today's video we're going to be doing a wet blending tutorial on a Corvus Belli Infinity model, one of the Domaru Butai from the Non-Aligned Army, Japanese Sectoral Army. These things are space samurais. They're awesome. So sit back, relax, and let's get wet blended. Alright guys, welcome back to the paint bench. Today we're going to be doing a quick wet blending acrylic paint technique to get some highlights on what we got here is our model. It's a Corvus Belli Infinity model. It is a Domaru Butai from the Non-Aligned Armies. It's kind of a space samurai. I absolutely love this model and this kit of models. I think they're awesome. But what we're going to be going for is a highlight gradient on his thigh armor right here. Zoom in on that and give you a better look at it. See how we go from darker where the light would hitting the highlights there, and then dark again under his arm shadow. So that's what we're going to be going for today. We're going to be using these colors. Base color is going to be Game Extra Opaque from Vallejo, Heavy Green, number 72146. Highlight off that is going to be Camouflage Green from Game Color, 72031. Our dark shadow is Panzer Ace's color, German Camouflage Dark Green. That's 70979. And then our highlight color, and I recommend this color for everybody. This is the color that I use to highlight almost any color. It's Sunny Skin Tone, Vallejo 70845. This color is excellent to mix with just about any color to get highlights, right? Because it's sunny skin tone, so it's like sun shining on just about anything. It's a light flesh with a lot of yellow in it, and it is the highlight color, much more so than white, which is going to wash out your colors. This one is going to illuminate, like if the sun were hitting something. So, starting there, bring over my wet palette. Let's zoom back out. Here are those colors. Up at the top here, we can see we have got a little gradient. We've got the German green, Panzer Ace's color. Then this is our heavy green, extra opaque Game Color. And this is our camouflage green. You can see how I was putting that one on the palette, how it shot across because it had a little plug in the tip. And this is our sunny skin tone. We keep that off to the side because we don't want to highlight too much of it because it will, brighten your color very quickly. So we keep that kind of a little bit away and just add it in as we need. So let's zoom back in. And our model here, you can see pretty easily where your highlight is going to be following. Pretty much right along there. I've got this guy in a little bit of a zenithal prime, highlighted some of the white area of the white armor with the airbrush. So we're going to be aiming for our highlight to be right about there. Darker here, not quite as dark here, mostly the dark areas here. So let's go ahead and get our brush wet. Again, for this one, we're just going to be using our standard Citadel small base. I use this thing, it's getting pretty worn out. It's kind of a sloppy brush at this point, but it does the trick on the carpet bounding areas. So let's make sure our paint's nice and thin. Get a little point on our brush there. And let's get it covered. See, it's covering nicely. Get it nice and thin down. Let's get the whole pad. That's just a nice big area to hit. Let's get it in the cracks up against there. All right, double check. Okay, there's a little bit popping up here from behind the sword. Let's get that painted. Just get some touches on there. All right. Great. A little bit under that sword there. Tough to get back there. But there we go. All right. Now, a little bit of water. Tip my brush in the water. Let's quickly move down and add in some of that camouflage green. And let's just quickly sketch in a little bit of lighter highlight right along there. Quickly blend that in, pull it down. All right, you see it's a little bit lighter. Let's rinse our brush out, get all the pigment out of it. And then let's move a little further down in our progression. Oh, it's getting a little wet there. Let's get some of that water out of there. Make sure the paint's nice and thin, but also got some moisture in there. And then let's come back and highlight even more along that spot. All right, you can see how that's just kind of blending in there. While we got wet paint there, let's move down even further, get pretty much just pure camouflage green now on our brush, pure camouflage green. And again, right along there, not too thick. There we go, kind of get that. We'll highlight where it might touch a little further up. Okay. Let's just go with a wet brush now, an empty voided wet brush, and kind of feather that out a little bit. There we go. Kind of washed it out there. We'll have to come back with extra pigment. All right, now we're going to let this dry just a touch. So we're going to pause for a minute, let it kind of dry. All right, so we're back. Let it dry just a little bit because we didn't want to start pulling the paint as it was kind of getting a little bit tacky. If you started removing some of the paint, you might scar your paint and then you never can really get that area back to the same level. You're always going to kind of have that scar showing up through your layers. So we let it kind of dry a little. There's still a little shine there, but you can kind of see how that highlight's starting to develop. So let's clean our brush out again. And let's work this underside here with some of the darker green. Right here, we got our Panzer Aces German camouflage. A little too much water in the brush there. And you want thin paint, but you don't want it too thin that it's not easy to control. So let's kind of come under here, the darkest spots, and just kind of come down. Yeah, it's still too much water. Come down. And just kind of darken it. A little bit of a shadow. Let's get that. So you can see that actual progression there. All right. And again, in that spot, let's get her in focus. Where are you at? Come on. Let's try zooming out. See if we can get that focused better. A little bit. All right, so under here, I'm going to use that darker green and just kind of feather that in. For whatever reason, it's focusing on my pad and not the model. There, ooh. There we go. The darkest greens right there. All right. See that highlight that we've added? Not bad. Got to keep working it though. You keep feathering that in, feathering that out. Let's add our brightest highlight across there right now. I think it's kind of come to a dryness that we can work that down here at the bottom. Get that brightest highlight in there. Super thin. Draw that brush to a point. And just kind of start working that on there. Again, it's going to be a thinner layer. And you don't, wherever your brush ends is where that most of that paint is going to be distributed. So you want to see just like that. My brush ended there, and that's where the paint pigment pretty much ended. So let's get a pretty voided brush and then just come back and build that highlight. Let's void our brush completely and feather it out a little bit more. And again, we got a little bit too broad with that, so we're going to have to kind of come back with a darker color and feather that in, because we want it to be more gradual. Like that side, a little more gradual. That side's a little more harsh, a little more stark. So we come back in with a little bit darker, back to our base color, heavy green. Get it nice and thin so that we can work it. And cut that back a little bit. There we go. Cut that back a little bit. Bring that base color back up here. All right. Now let's bring our first highlight here, the camouflage green. A little more water. Thin it down. Put that brush to a point. And one more stage here. Back and forth until we're happy. We're going to have to thin that down a little bit. Let's go back to heavy green and work that in. Cut that brightest highlight back. All right. Well, you can see that. That's a pretty bright highlight. That looks almost too bright for the material that it is. We want to tone that down a little bit, make it a little bit rougher. So let's just almost make it like a wash and draw that back across the entire highlight. Just to tone it down. Bring it back. See how that basically just throwing a wash over the top of it with the heavy green tones it back down. There we go. That's better. And I probably am going to do a wash over this. I'm going to do a stippling technique on here to give it kind of a thatched pattern, or a kind of a rough pattern. And then probably do a camo wash over the top of it to give it a little bit more of a weathered look too. But you can see there, you just do that back and forth with those colors. And hopefully you come out with something a little like this. That needs a little bit more work, but you know, hopefully you get the general idea. It's like shingles on a roof. You have your first layer shingles with your base color, then you have another maybe covering 3/4 of the model, then your final highlight covering a much smaller. And if you wanted to take it even further, you know, shinier objects, metal objects, gemstones, glass, things like that, you want to push them almost all the way to white. Duller, more flat surfaces, you know, cloth materials, things like that, they don't need as high a contrast highlight. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and you can follow me on other socials at Facebook and Instagram at JSoloArts. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.